Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of For What It's Nerd. Today we are discussing two trailers dropped by Marvel this week, Agatha All Along and Captain America Brave New World. I'm very excited about both these projects. I think they both have their merits and both expand the universe of Marvel in really interesting ways. So let's kind of dig into them. I didn't actually expect to get two trailers this week, to be honest with you, but yeah, very welcome, very excited to talk about them here on the show. Yeah, actually, before we start with that, I've hit my mic. Before we start with that, I do want to say that today marks the episode that is closest to our anniversary, our second anniversary of For What It's Nerd. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening for 2 whole years now. I hope you are enjoying as much as the first episode. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep getting at it, because this is something that I really, really love. Thank you so much for everything you guys have contributed to the podcast so far. With that said, yes, let's get into those trailers. Agatha All Along, let's start with that one. That came out earlier in the week, and I've got to be honest, didn't expect both of it to drop, but really didn't expect it. Just kind of came out of nowhere. And I know we've had like a long, very protracted period hearing about the Agatha show and not knowing what it's necessarily going to be. I don't think this trailer kind of really helps with that. I think the trailer is very obscure as to what the show is going to be about in the long term. Like, what's the villain's plan, what's going on, what's Agatha trying to achieve fully. We know she's trying to get her powers back in some way, but what's the goal thereafter? Is she going to, like, she can't go after Wanda, for example, because Wanda's dead. That's a big premise of the trailer as well. You know, what's the goal here? Is it going to be actually they want to revive Wanda, or is it going to be some totally different thing? Like, that's one thing that I think this show is very much keeping under wraps. So interested to see what that's about. Also very interested to see what Aubrey Plaza's villain is kind of intending to do in this as well. As I said kind of before, we don't know the villain's goals really, besides seemingly wanting Agatha to free herself, which is interesting, because if Agatha frees herself, what's the goal for Aubrey's character? Now, I think, if I remember correctly, Aubrey's character is going to be Morgan Le Fay in this. Now, Morgan Le Fay has showed up in Marvel TV prior in the Runaways season 3. Now, I don't think that is going to kill this version, considering Morgan Le Fay is a powerful witch, and Agatha herself has changed her appearance numerous times within her own power set. I don't see why Morgan Le Fay couldn't do the same. I forget who played her the first time round, but yeah, I don't see how that couldn't be the case. Some people might argue still that certain Marvel shows from previous are not MCU canon. Personally, I disagree with that at this point. If we're going to canonize Daredevil, we're kind of canonizing the rest alongside, because they kind of all sort of fit together in one way or another. Saying that, though, they could very much still retcon that show. So I'm very interested to see how the Darkhold and Morgan Le Fay and the continuity of the Marvel Universe so far play into this one. But it looks like it's going to be a fun tonally. It looks like it's going to very much take a lot of beats from WandaVision. Definitely got that from the Fit trailer, and I love that style. I know some people didn't. I know a lot of people found it to be a snooze fest. I personally really liked it. It kind of pushed the boundaries of what Marvel can be as a TV show, as, you know, a project in general. So I'm really excited to see where that goes, and I hope that they do kind of push the board out even further this time. Let's go crazy with it. You know, it is a witch show. Take some of those kind of very witchy show stereotypes and kind of turn them on their head, which is what they were kind of trying to do with all the different logos for the different episodes, etc., the different titles, etc., along the way. But yeah, Agatha All Along, very excited for it. I think it's going to be an interesting watch. I think people should give it a try, because I think there's this idea that Marvel has really gone downhill, and we'll discuss this a little bit more with the Captain America Brave New World trailer, but I really do think that there's something to be said for Marvel kind of not getting its act together, but getting an understanding of what maybe people weren't enjoying. I think they're kind of really rehashing that now and really kind of working it out. And I think some of the more recent projects have definitely shown that to be the case. And the fact we're getting kind of a reduced output. That's the word I'm looking for. A reduced output as well suggests the same. You know, hopefully Deadpool and Wolverine also kind of firms that, which, you know, we will obviously be seeing in a few weeks' time. So with that said, yeah, very much looking forward to quite a star-studded cast's rendition of these characters with Agatha All Along. So that's coming very soon. I think early next year, I believe. I forget the date specifically for Agatha, but we'll be watching 2 episodes. I think the premiere. It'll be 2 episodes, so we'll get a nice hankering, I'm hankering for that. We'll get a nice idea of what it's like then. That's what I was trying to say. I got there in the end. Yeah, but perhaps the more actually, so I didn't think this is going to happen, but I do actually think I'm more excited for, now I would have probably guessed it the other way around if you hadn't told me beforehand, but I think I'm more excited for, and I think a lot of people are actually really excited for, Captain America Brave New World. I know I've said the name a few times now. I might just say BNW from now on. It's quite a title. It's quite a mouthful. But, you know, this is the first movie where we get to see Sam in the role of Captain America. You know, we've had the show Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which obviously leans into this, but yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting thing to see, seeing Sam on the big screen and seeing them kind of, you know, everyone kind of saw him become Captain America at the end of that show, but I don't think the repercussions of that have kind of been felt yet. And I think that's definitely seen in this trailer where General Ross makes the statement that he may be Captain America, but he's not Steve Rogers. So, you know, the idea that they're trying to make Captain America part of like the US military is a very interesting idea, kind of reintegrating Captain America in that way to be a military role. Is kind of like an interesting premise for the beginning of the movie, and it's clear that Sam's kind of on board with that a little bit, and then there's what looks like an assassination on the president, which is incredibly poorly timed considering what's happened this weekend with one of the candidates over in America. But aside from that, yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting plot. A lot of people are likening it to, wow, I'll get my words out eventually. Is it White House Down? Is that the name of the movie? Something like that. But basically, where it's going to be like kind of Sam protecting the president as they're trying to get away from what we can only assume is the leader, but also this character that Giancarlo Esposito is playing, which I don't know. Some people are saying it's G.W. Bridge, but I don't know enough about that character to say it definitively. It looks really interesting, though. It looks like this is a really kind of... I don't know how to put it. I think this feels and looks very grounded in the most part, despite the fact that, you know, the leader's going to be big and green, and despite the fact that at the end of the trailer we get to see probably one of the most exciting characters you can't see it, my Red Hulk figure. Red Hulk's going to be in this movie, which I'm very excited about. Like, wow, Red Hulk. Like, I like Hulk. I like Red Hulk even more than Red Hulk. Just a really interesting character to me. This guy who, you know, has hated Hulk with every fiber of his being and ends up being the thing that he hated. Like, I think that's even more, I think that's almost, if not more, definitely as poignant as being the creature that being the same as the creature. Like, Hulk has to deal with his bad side. General Ross, when he becomes Red Hulk, has to deal with not only his bad side, but this side of him that is now exactly like something else that he hated before. So it's like double. It's like even more intense. So it's like it is self-loathing for being something that you absolutely despised prior, which they've kind of done a few times. That's kind of like the story for Senator Kelly in the X-Men movies, and there was a story like that in the Inhumans in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. So it's a story that's been done before, but I think it's going to be interesting to see it play out, especially because Red Hulk looks like he's going to be antagonistic in some sort of way in this movie. I don't necessarily think he's going to be the antagonist. I still think that's the leader, but it'll be interesting because that'll mean there's 3 kind of antagonists in this movie, with the leader, Giancarlo's character, and then if the Red Hulk does end up being a full-on antagonist as well. But yeah, there is of course a few controversies around this movie. That being that there's this character called Sabra, who I forget the details entirely, but she's basically a very is it an Israeli superhero? I forget the full details, but essentially, obviously, it's a very poor time to be introducing something like that, considering the situation over in and around that area of the world. I'm not going to go into too many details about that, but there is, of course, that to keep in mind. As always, I'm not totally clued up on all that's going on over there, and I don't want to say something incorrect or say something improper. So just do your homework if you're interested in whether you feel that the movie shouldn't be watched, or whether you feel that the movie should whatever you feel that should be done to the movie as regards that, or whether it should be something that's up for greater discussion, etc. That's for you to decide as a person and as your individual take on this movie. I personally will be watching. I take that on board with watching it, and will of course criticize that if I feel it's a improper part of the movie. There's parts of American movies prior where they've definitely took US military funding to kind of promote US the good guys being the good guys, etc. So I can not necessarily Marvel, but movies in general. So there's definitely stuff to be said about that, and there's definitely stuff to be said about movies as propaganda. And if I feel that's the case, then obviously we will discuss it in more detail. I'll do my research and properly discuss it, but I don't want to go too deeply into that in this episode, because I feel like we're trying not to get too into the kind of all that's out in the world. Sometimes I like to keep my literary analysis as much as possible, my literary / fictional analysis as much as possible within that fiction, which some people might disagree with, and some people think that's burying your head in the sand. I think sometimes it's okay to not remove context, but understand that not all context need be applied fully all the time. But yeah, aside from that, this one thing that I'm concerned with this movie, and I think some people are already hyping it up quite a bit, is that a lot of people likened it's the Winter Soldier, and a lot of people did that with the Secret Invasion trailer as well, and look how that turned out. Now, I really enjoyed Secret Invasion up to the last episode, and I feel like they kind of really turned it on its head, and not in a good way. That could still happen, of course, with this movie as well. So let's not count our eggs before it's hatched. I do think this movie is going to really set the tone for what I would argue is, again, a new start for Marvel if they get it right. I know we're still sort of in the multiverse saga, but I think they could pivot correctly if they're careful now, and get people back on board. I don't think it's too late for Marvel in that way. So yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting few weeks for Marvel. We've got Deadpool and Wolverine. We've got obviously the few months with Deadpool and Wolverine, and then Agatha, and then as well as that, not Falcon. Oh gosh, I'm going back in time. Captain America. That being released on February the 14th. So, early start of next year. And yeah, we'll see how those pan out. We've got obviously other projects in the work as well, which we'll talk about as they release / as they drop trailers. And yeah, keep an eye out here for everything Marvel. As always, we'll be discussing Deadpool and Wolverine very soon. Also, next week, if you're interested in Star Wars The Acolyte, which I know has been a very controversial topic at the moment as well, we'll be breaking down the rest of the season, because we've I think it's the last episode this coming Wednesday / Tuesday, depending on where you are in the world. So keep an eye out for that. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching / listening. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye, guys.